everyone. Welcome to my back garden. I'm starting a new series of videos which is called Speed Dating with Herbs and comes out of a series of videos I've been making through the lockdown, slightly longer videos on herbal remedies and Ayurvedic remedies. So I feel like the next step is to spend some time getting to know individual herbs, and so today I'm starting that with this gorgeous plant next to me here, which is wood betony, or Stachys botanica, and it's one of the lesser known members of the mint family. Maybe not your typical plant to be included in a kitchen garden, but almost every herbalist that I know swears by it and grows it on their land. So that's a really good sign, and it's got such a lovely energy, and I'm still getting to know it. I've had this plant in particular for a few months, and it's just grown in such a beautiful way. It's very sturdy and hardy, and even if you're not a very avid gardener, it's quite sort of takes care of itself. So it's a good one to grow if you're new to gardening as well. So yeah, as I said, it's not one of the more common garden or kitchen garden herbs, but it is related to a lot of them. So it's in the same family as mint. It's in the Lamiaceae, which is a plant family that contains a lot of medicinal plants and many aromatic plants. So it does actually have very, in appearance, some very similar qualities to mint. So I'm just plucking off a leaf here. I'm going to show you what the leaves look like. They are, I would say, bigger than a mint leaf, but other than that, they look almost identical. They have this very, deeply veined and textured surface. They're covered in very fine hairs. I don't know if you can see that. And the edges of the leaves are toothed, so they have this kind of serrated edge. And then the other typical quality or characteristic of the mint family is that it has these amazing square stems. So you have 4 planes on each of those sides of, or each of those stems have 4 sides. So that's going to help you in identifying the plant. That's what the leaves look like. And it doesn't smell very strongly, unlike mint, so that might not be a super helpful way of identifying it. Just remember that when you notice this plant in the wild or in a park or something, it might not be in flower, in which case it will just look like a sort of bunch of these leaves all coming out of the ground in a little cluster. And the leaves are, the medicinal part along with the flowers, so that can be a good thing to find in your local woodland or wherever. In terms of the rest of the plant, it's got, these longer stems are also square and they're very sturdy, almost woody. And then it has these opposite leaves. So the leaves are in pairs that come off the stem at the same point. So you'll notice that there's a pair there, there's a pair there, and then there's a pair there, which I've broken one of those off for tea, probably. And then we come to the flower heads, which are these beautiful kind of piles of flowers on top of the stems, and each of those is a tiny little tubular flower, which is not unlike the rosemary flower, if you're familiar with that, and they have this gorgeous kind of pinky purple colour. So yeah, that's, in terms of identification, that should help you to get some wood betony in your sites. It grows pretty, all over Europe, woodland, so the name wood betony is a clue as to where it likes to grow. And also in North America, I've noticed quite a lot of it, and I know a lot of people in North America who grow it, who are herbalists, so that's always a good sign as to plants you want to look out for and maybe grow yourself and get to know. In terms of the medicinal properties, it's been used in the Western world for a really long time, so there's documentation of it being used in ancient Greece as a heal-all, so it really has a lot of different curative properties. I'm only going to mention a few of them today. In ancient Rome. It was also brought all over the place where the Romans travelled in Europe and conquered. It was grown in the medieval monastic physic garden. So the monks in medieval times were the kind of herbalists and healers, and they would have these gorgeous officinae or physic gardens. And that's why a lot of the medicinal or the kind of classic medicinal herbs, like lavender and actually wood betony here. So the two Latin names are Stachys botonica, but also Stachys officinalis. When a plant's name ends with the genus officinalis, you know that that's a plant that's been used since those medieval times where they had the officinae and they were being grown and prepared into remedies by those monks, which just basically tells us it's been around and in use for a long time, and it's a good kind of credit to it. It's a good medicinal plant. So what are the medicinal properties of this plant? The name Betony is actually of Gaelic origin. It comes from two words together, ben and ton. Ben means head, and ton is tonic. So it's a head tonic. It's also, it has an affinity for the head, but it's also a nervine tonic. So in more modern times, we've been able to extract the pharmaceutical components that tell us it's a nervine, and so that's what it's mostly used for, is sort of afflictions of the head and nervous disorders. So a really classic thing that wood betony is used for is headaches, and I've used it for that myself and found it to be very useful in the form of an infusion, which I'll tell you about a little bit later. And in terms of other kind of nervous ailments that it can treat and calm down, things like, as I said, migraines and headaches and rheumatism, arthritis, and also just kind of talking more emotionally about being a bit sort of frazzled. When your nerves are a bit frazzled and even the slightest noise can make you jump. Like, that's the perfect, plant for you when you're in that space. It's very strong, it's very stable, it has this kind of very grounded energy. And over time, as it is a tonic, it will tone that system to be more resilient over time and to lessen the anxiety and things like that. Being a member of the mint family, as I said, it also does have kind of gastrointestinal soothing effect. So when you do drink it as a tea, the additional benefit is going to be that it just calms down and improves the digestion. So if you have anything like gas or heartburn or any like little niggles in your digestive system, this is going to help with that too, along with helping with the head illnesses. It also acts as a blood purifier, so it can improve the health of the liver and the spleen. It's a tonic, as I said, but it kind of like just tones up those organs. So if you have any, this might be a little advanced for people who aren't into herbalism or traditional Chinese medicine or Ayurveda, but if you have a kind of like sluggish blood in your system or stagnant blood, this is one of the good herbs to get those systems moving. So how do you take it? The only way that I've taken this plant is in an infusion. So you take the aerial parts, that basically just means anything above the ground. So you can have the flowers, the stem, the leaves, anything. Just, pick them off, bruise them up a little bit or cut them, and pour boiling water over them, let it sit for a few minutes, and then you can enjoy it as a tea. It tastes very good, has quite a sort of mild flavour, I'd say, a little bit like grassy, which is quite nice. But you can add a little bit of honey if you don't like it so much, or you could even kind of mix it up with some different herbs. I've had it with mint, and that works really well. I've had it with wintergreen, which is, I think we don't have in this country, but it's a nice kind of minty, peppery plant, which is also good for headaches. So yeah, just try it out. Try look out for wood betony in your adventures and walks, and try and pick some and experiment with growing it even, or find some dried herb somewhere. I do think that this is quite a good plant to enjoy fresh for some reason, but I'm sure you'll find your own way with it. And hope this has been helpful.